Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Rainey, and for my presentation, I wanted to focus on information preservation in academic libraries. So first, I wanted to discuss what digital curation is. The term digital curation originated in 2001 in a seminar on digital libraries, archives, and sciences, where professionals from various disciplines gathered to improve the long-term preservation and maintenance of digital information access. This combines both terms, digital preservation and curation, into one. Another term that's a more broad term is called data curation, which it focuses on the preservation of research data throughout its life cycle. Um, there's a massive amount of digital content that it grows rapidly, and academic libraries have had to develop new strategies to maintain, preserve, and provide access to this material. Before the internet, librarians were responsible for obtaining, organizing, retrieving, distributing, and storing information in the libraries. Now they have to completely modify, how they look through text regardless of their format due to, uh, modern society. So in academic libraries, digital curation can support student access by preventing information loss and ensuring that materials remain available. As online courses become more and more accepted and students complete their degrees remotely, um, there's consistent digital access. It becomes, even more critical to have that type of access because many students, may never set foot in a physical library. So having these digital options available is necessary as their entire academic experience depends on stable, well-preserved digital materials. Research on digital curation has increased over time. However, academic libraries still lack comprehensive studies on digital curation services. Researchers should focus more on developed policies for the digital curation services in educational settings to create more straightforward guidelines for managing, preserving, and providing access to digital materials. So, digital curation supports information throughout its life cycle from creation to long-term preservation. Digital curation includes selecting, appraising, maintaining, and preserving digital materials throughout the information life cycle, ensuring they remain reliable and reusable. And as you can see here, this is a DCC curation lifestyle model, which is a crucial framework used in digital preservation and library science. It shows how digital materials move through different stages of the life cycle, from creation and appraisal to long-term conservation, storage, and eventual reuse. Understanding this is essential for academic libraries because it guides how the information professionals preserve digital content so students and researchers can continue to access and reuse it over time. So what is the role of digital curation in academic libraries? So it is to ensure the long-term preservation of digital materials, including things like academic journals and archival collections and other research. It preserves digital content to safeguard scholarly materials and ensure they remain accessible over time. And without these active preservation strategies, many of these digital files would be at risk of file degradation, outdated format, or even system failures. Um, Through digital curation, libraries can maintain the stability and long-term usability of these resources. So librarians are increasingly expected to engage into digital curation, taking on several preservation responsibilities such as identifying at-risk digital content, integrating preservation into their work, and understanding that uh, the organization's role is to maintain those essential files. Uh, so, the librarians are becoming active participants in the digital curation. Uh, So, in other words, they need to identify at-risk digital materials, integrate preservation tasks into their regulars, and then understand how preservation responsibilities are structured across the organization. These actions will help keep digital collections secure and accessible. So some challenges and preservation issues. So born digital files may lack physical backups and need constant monitoring, while digitized materials require quality control and long-term storage planning. Because some of these materials are created in digital form and often only exist in that format without physical equivalents, they are vulnerable to deletion, which is a huge risk for these librarians who also face problems with the digitized materials, such as scanned books, because they require reliable long-term storage systems and stability, so to ensure that the files don't degrade over time. Another problem is the rapid growth and diversity of the file formats, creating significant preservation challenges for libraries. There are thousands upon thousands of variant file formats going back to the mid-20th century, and the growth of formats will not stop. So, as software becomes older and unusable, libraries must determine which formats can still be opened, which requires migration. Which brings me to my third problem, which is the obsolete storage media, like the floppy disk, make older digital items inaccessible as the hardware that supports them becomes outdated. So those are huge problems. So we talked about the problems with digital preservation, but now let's talk about some of the potential solutions, including adopting a cloud-based preservation system, which can reduce the risk of data loss. So by moving these digital collections in these cloud platforms, libraries gain access to backup data across different locations and provide uninterrupted 24/7 access to data. Another solution I mentioned earlier briefly is regarding the migration of files away from older formats and storage media to prevent permanent data loss. Those older formats, like the floppy disk, become unreadable over time because the hardware needs to access them. It eventually disappears. One key point is to develop clear preservation policies and procedures to help libraries plan for storage needs and format changes and long-term access. So an organization should have a disaster preparedness plan for its systems of record and preservation infrastructure and must test those systems often for recovery. So as we discussed previously, when evaluating information preservation, technology becomes obsolete quickly. So future information professionals must prepare for migration into newer formats and change in general. As formats evolve and systems age, we have to constantly reassess whether or not these digital materials remain accessible. We have to plan to help prevent the deletion of vital sources for researchers, which, this all connects directly to what we learned about with the information lifecycle, where information moves through stages such as creation, organization, storage, access, dissemination, and archiving. Information professionals must understand the nature of the information user needs and the organization at every step of the cycle. So, as future librarians, digital preservation is not just a preference, but a responsibility to educate others about which essential documents need to be preserved and remain accessible for future generations to come. Thank you so much for your time today and attending my seminar presentation. Thank you so much.